Order Smith.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council. Having taken roll and having a quorum, we will proceed. The first item that we have this evening is our public forum. We have 9 individuals that have signed up. The first of which is Ethel Harris.
Thank you. I'm Ethel Harris, 34th Street, Indiana.
Ethel, can you talk into the microphone so we can
Sure.
hear you?
I'm Ethel Harris, and I live on 34th Street. I do make this a habit most of the time of coming to City Council. So I'm not first. A lot of people know me. If you don't know me, you should get to know me. So my concern is we talk about all these restrictions and the restrictions that you're going to have for the church. But it seems that, you have a restriction for the e-bikes and the e-scooters. Those don't seem to be working very well, as Chad was going down Grand Central chasing them, and they didn't really care. So I don't think your restrictions is working too good. That can be very dangerous. And so the next one would be that back about a year and a half ago, it was brought up about the old buildings there where Elkey's is. And we were told at the council meeting, we're going to make up some new ordinance and take care of that, so the landlords are going to have to fix them. Well, now here we are, going into the second year or so. Nothing has been done again. So really, don't tell us what you think we want to hear. Tell us what you're going to do and give us some action. So what really thinks, why do you really think your restrictions on the church is going to work? The others haven't worked. And now, you're going to sell drinks at the Freedom Festival? I thought that was supposed to be family oriental. But we're going to have kids down there running into these people that got booze in their hand, walking around. Is that how it's going to be? And what's that going to do to the other parks? Is that opening up the other parks, like when the band's at Spencer Park playing music? Oh, I think I'll get me a case of brew and go up and sit down and drink and have a good old merry time. Is that going to be allowed? Booze in all these other parks here in the city? So all I'm saying is, you know what? I don't care about one nice restaurant in Vienna, but that only opens up a door for all these other little joints to pop up, and the vape shop. I mean, we've already got that one vape shop that's down there, and it's not even legal because it's in residential and it was not changed back to business. So vape shops, gambling, drinking, let's go to Vegas. So I object to the alcohol, but I would like the people to see this is what Vienna used to look like. Beautiful little town. Mustard Deli. You remember that, don't you, Reggie?
Well,
Mustard Deli.
yeah.
Chad, you remember that?
Well, of course I do.
Yes, you do. I had my restaurant there too. Then I think there one called Binky down the street or somewhere.
Nope, same building.
Huh?
Same building, same family.
Same building? Yeah, okay. What a nice town. I know I'm getting old. I'm not reverting back. I just think we got to clean Vienna up and make it a family-oriental little city again. And I object to the alcohol. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Boswell Davis.
Kathy Boswell Davis, 58th Street. I just want to say that I strongly disagree for the possibility of number 2, 3, and 4 on unfinished business tonight on the agenda. I think it's a bad idea. It's within walking distance of several churches, and it's just would be a bad thing for this city. We've got doctors and lawyers coming here for a family-friendly neighborhood, and this would destroy it. Thank you.
Ryan Leverson.
My name is Brian Leversey, and I'm a resident here in Vienna. I'm also the pastor at Fellowship Baptist Church on Rosemar. And I want to first of all just say that I'm your friend. Pray for you all regularly. I appreciate what you do. And as a friend, I've come tonight with specific concerns about the ordinance changes regarding alcohol in our community. I feel like I represent the voice of quite a few people in our community. Our church serves the community, operates within the community. I hear from a lot of people in our community. And the overwhelming sense that I get is that these concerns aren't just with me, but with a large number of people in the city of Vienna. I think there's a lot of people that are going to talk about, their disdain for alcohol products coming into our city. I thought instead of that, I would just tell you a personal story about us moving to the area here almost 6 years ago now. And we moved from Southern California, and we came here, as I was called, to pastor the church. And man, we just fell in love with the people here in Vienna. We fell in love with so many things that are so charming about the city. As we began to settle in, it was during COVID, so it was hard to kind of get around and settle in. But as we were driving through the area in general, we noticed establishments that we were very curious about. They're called City Perks. And as we were driving around, actually, my wife and I got very excited because we love coffee. And I thought, here's a city that's very passionate about coffee. And man, this little ma and pa City Perk thing must be lighting it up because they're everywhere. And so I went into our staff meeting at church on a Monday morning, and I shared with the guys around our table. I said, you know what? We're getting to know the city. We love this place. I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and take my wife out on a date to one of the City Perks tonight. and they all kind of chuckled, and they didn't really say anything else to me except, yeah, you should really go and do that. And they then revealed to me, oh no, you probably don't want to do that. And they shared with me what it was. And I'm just telling you, having moved to the area, my heart broke just a little bit. And the reason why is because I think that we, through ordinances, have the opportunity to shape a story about the areas that we live in. I think we have the opportunity to share with others who might be visiting or moving to the area certain indicators that this would be a place you would want to raise a family, that you would want to move into. And being a pastor, I know some of the ramifications of allowing things that tend to prey on people's vices, especially as I've come to minister in the area, and I know specific challenges that we deal with within this area, not foreign to other areas as well. But as I begin to meet with people that had family members, people who themselves were struggling with gambling addiction, various other types of things, referencing these particular establishments, I realized that, man, the prevalence of these things, something must have slid somewhere for this to take place. And I think this is where that starts. I think it's where we make abrupt decisions about ordinances that have protected certain aspects of our community for a long time because we think it's going to contribute to growth. However, all of the studies, all of the indicators that I've read show that the possibility of that kind of nightlife opening up in an area does not contribute to the positive growth of the community. In fact, it vastly degrades it. Is that my time already? I don't think so. I think I've got you.
We will award you 15 seconds.
15 seconds back. Okay, very good. I could spend time tonight recounting a lot of different studies conducted by the CDC, studies conducted in the city of Baltimore, studies conducted even in Norway concerning when they loosen ordinances and they allow establishments that offer all-night bar drinking establishments, how it raises crime, how it contributes to the degeneracy of the community. As a pastor, I probably know firsthand as people come and counsel with me the grip that some of these things have on a number of folks even within our community. I understand growth. I want our city to grow. I really do. I want it to grow healthily. I want it to grow vibrantly. I don't believe this is the answer to it, and I think you're deafening yourself to the understanding that a bulk of the people of our area don't think this is the answer for it. I implore you, look at doubling down on making this place a family-friendly city that people like me and my 6 want to move to,
Right.
that we want to invest in, that we want to build lives in. I would not be attracted here by hotspots and bars opening up in the downtown. And if you look,
Pastor,
yeah,
we're at time.
are we at time?
Yes, but
I should have grabbed your guys' time back. I hope you get the point. I'm praying for you. I love our city. I think we're heading in so many good directions. I think this is a really bad idea.
Roger Conley.
Roger Conley, 9th Avenue here in Vienna, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing us a few minutes to have these conversations. I rise this evening in the very strongest possible opposition to these ordinance amendments. But before I get into that, I would like to just say that I believe this administration, Mayor Emmerich, Recorder Smith, Council, I think you guys have done a lot of really good things in a short period of time. And for that, I thank you. But I do not believe this is one of those good things. Folks, Wood County, by and large, is a very conservative county. And I would submit to you that the conservative hub of Wood County is Vienna. And I don't say that speculatively at all. Over the last several years, I don't know how many miles that I have walked inside the city of Vienna, whether it be campaigning for myself or helping others in their campaigns. I don't know how many doors I've knocked on, how many people I've talked to, but it's been a lot. And those experiences leave no doubt in my mind, folks, that if this came to a vote with the citizens of Vienna, it would be resoundingly defeated. It wouldn't even be close. You know, as I look around this crowd, this room full of people this evening, it reminds me of a similar event a few years ago when I was on the city council, sitting right there in the seat where Councilman Morrison is sitting tonight. We had brought before us an ordinance that would have allowed for the sale of alcohol at an earlier hour on Sundays. I was very opposed to that. Many of the people in Vienna were very opposed to that. And as I look around the room tonight, I see several people here tonight that was in that very meeting. Fortunately, we were able to vote that down. And I hope history repeats itself.
Yeah.
You know, there's an awful lot of people here tonight, and I'm sure they're not all going to speak. But real quickly, folks, how many of you are here in opposition to this ordinance amendment? Wow. Wow. With that, I'm going to close by saying just this. Each one of you on the bench have one vote. You have one vote. please do not allow your one vote to overrule the will of the people. The will of the people says this is a terrible idea. And please vote this down. Thank you for your time.
Rob Fouts.
I'm Rob Fouts from 4200 Grand Central, and I'm not here to talk about auctions for once. I'm here tonight to talk about the amendments that are being discussed with the alcohol. And in full disclosure, I think I own real estate that would actually be in this footprint. So I'm one of the owners that I guess I could potentially benefit from this if it happened. But I rise tonight to say, why now? What's the rush? Why do we have to have a vote tonight that's going to change the city forever? So I stand today, and I'm not in support of this, and I'm not against it. I'm really not. I'm kind of in the middle, and I don't have enough information. And I think if everybody's sitting up here, which I think I know y'all, and I respect y'all, but honestly, folks, none of us have enough information to take this vote tonight. We don't. Where are the feasibility studies? Where are the economic impact studies? I saw people online today talking about if this passes, this is going to fix all the empty buildings in downtown Vienna. Really? You think there's somebody that owns a building in downtown Vienna that says the only reason why my building is empty is because I can't get a liquor license? I don't think that's true. But we don't know. That's the point. So I would encourage council to call a timeout, take a break, listen to the people. Let's have some town hall meetings. I'm willing to narrate them. I'm willing to put up some money if we have to. Let's have some town hall meetings and let the people in this community come together and tell you how they feel. Let's get all the business owners that own those empty buildings together and set them down in a room and say, what could the city do to help you fill that building? But to say that if we pass this, this is going to fix this problem, I just don't think it is. So what I've seen, my phone's been going crazy today. What I've seen is people are extremely passionate about this, and on both sides. And I just think that we don't have enough information. I don't think anybody in this room has enough information, because once you open this door, once you let this genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. Once you open it up and let some business owner, an entrepreneur, go open a bar, what are you going to do? Go knock on his door and say, hey, we changed our mind, you're out of business. You're not going to be able to do that. This is a decision that is going to affect the city of Vienna from today forward. And I would just encourage you, take a time out, table this issue, listen to the people, schedule some meetings. This might be the best idea that anybody's ever come up with. I don't know. And it might also be a bad idea. I rise tonight to just say, I think that it's more important to make the right decision, not a fast decision.
Is it Cynthia? Is it Mueller?
Yes, you got it right.
Did I?
Yes.
That was a lucky guess. Robin, if you think your phone was going off the hook today, you should have held mine.
Or mine.
I'm Cynthia Mueller, and I live on 39th and 9th Avenue. And I was born and raised here. I came to what?
Can you pull the mic down so they can hear you?
I came back here 50-some years ago and had my first child while my husband was overseas. I came back here this time because I'm old and because my family is here. But after reading over these proposed ordinance, I don't want any of that at all, period, because I've seen what had happened in Louisville, Kentucky, on Bardstown Road. It makes a mess, and what you do is there's only a few people that are going to really benefit economically from this, but then there are people that are going to have to pay extra taxes to support your police that you're going to need to keep up with all this, because not only do you have alcohol, but drugs comes along with it. And I know from experience from my 2 oldest children. So I really think you really need to rethink this whole mess.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is it WM?
Yeah, William.
Is that what it is, William?
Yeah, it's Mike.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Middle name's Mike.
Well, you're up, sir.
I'm not saying.
Gibbs.
My name's Mike Gibbs. I live on 4th Avenue off of 41st Street. And I've lived up there for probably 27 years, something like that. Had a lot of family up here over the last, I'd say 60 years. A lot of my family lived up there. I'm against these these actions they want to take. For one thing, they're trying to bring people in here. It's what they continually, I hear when I come to council meetings. Do you think leaving bars open until 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning is going to bring more people in? You're building new schools up on the hill up here and you're taxing us. And then you want us to put up with drunks in our city. What are you going to do if you're a council member and you pass this? And I've seen a lot of drunk drivers dead. And somebody gets killed, one of the citizens gets killed, or somebody's child gets killed because somebody's intoxicated and hits them and runs over them. How are you going to feel about that? If I was sitting there, I'd feel pretty bad. So I don't think it's a good idea. Something else I had to say, and I've got a lot of problems with Washington, D.C. anymore. I don't think that they represent the people in some ways, not the current administration, but the older administration. I think they're up there to represent us, and I don't think they're doing, especially some of the people in Congress and Senate are not doing a very good job. So I'm going to say this to you fellas, because you represent the people. You're here to serve the people, to make the right decisions, to make the community grow, to make it safe, to make it prosperous. All right? So what I'm seeing is in D.C., they're not falling into line with what is good for the country. So I even looked it up. I said, well, what if they pass this? Can we file a class action suit? Well, I looked it up. No, we can't. Can't stop them. Can we file an injunction? No, we can't. So whatever you guys do, you're responsible for. The citizens don't have any recourse to stop you, just like we don't have any recourse to stop Congress a lot of times in Washington, D.C. I don't think that's right. This is America. We were built on religion. We were built on freedom of speech. And if we continue down the road we're going, letting people in positions of power tell us what they're going to do, and if whether we like it or not, they're going to do it anyway, I don't think that's America. So that's mainly what I've got to say. Appreciate y'all having me. Let me speak.
Nancy Talbot.
I'm Nancy Talbot, 1310 14th Street, and basically a lot of people have already said what I wanted to say. I'm concerned because as a mother and a grandmother and a great-grandmother now, Vienna, I've always been proud of the fact that I call it the little village of Vienna, where the older buildings are. I would love to see that turned into something that honors our heritage. Have little shops, have some of these, development things that takes us back to our history. I want it family-based. If you bring in alcohol, I just don't like it. I was really concerned when I was kind of reading along, and some of you all tried to make it restricted. I don't drink myself, but I have friends, and I've worked out in New York and California and all that, and I do know some people who work like to drink. They like to go out and meet with their friends after work, and sometimes work is late in the night. I just don't think that belongs in the area that you're wanting to put it.
Amen.
Because it's family area. If you look at, you said it's on Grand Central. There are houses on Grand Central. There are churches on Grand Central. And there's apartment buildings even. I just don't think this is a good idea, and I agree with some of the others that said, why are you doing it so fast? Is somebody going to profit from this?
Yeah.
Because the only people that's going to profit are people who are going to run a business and sell the alcohol. Because the other ones, we're going to have to pay more for police protection. We're going to have to be careful going across the street. And if you do it until 2 a.m., are they going to be drinking until 2 a.m. and be right next door to a church or close to a school? I just don't like that. I'm sorry. I agree with all these people. Why the rush? Why don't we have a town meeting? I think, as you saw tonight, the majority, if it went on a ballot and the citizens went out and voted on it, I figure it'd be totally voted out. Not even just to the 2 a.m. thing. A lot of the citizens probably don't want any alcohol sold in a certain area that's close to the churches or close to the citizens. Just saying, I hope you reconsider your ideas. Thank you for your
When Daniel Miller signed all the way at the bottom, you must have been want to be the very last one.
Oh yeah, you know.
You're the closer, are you?
I'll try and be. One second. Hello, my name is Daniel Miller, 2807 17th Avenue, and House of Delegates District 11 candidate. I stand before the City Council and the Mayor of Vienna to voice my support for the ordinance amending Section 1329.11 to remove the prohibition barring alcohol sale, dispersal, and consumption on commercial properties situated in part of Vienna. For the past 2 months, this ordinance has been discussed and drafted. The language has been pruned and is ready to vote on. The removal of this prohibition is a step in the right direction to revitalizing Vienna by providing opportunities for smaller businesses that wish to sell alcohol, such as restaurants, mom and pop convenience stores, convention centers. I do like a paint and sip. And bars. The city will grow in revenue, promote business owners to move to the area, and bring the city more name recognition for its progress. I understand there is concern for what may come into those commercial zones, such as clubs. I will say that any person wishing to own a nightclub would find this a money pit. The city has a noise ordinance and competent police. I have faith our police can keep the peace and enforce the 10 p.m. noise ordinance. I hear the concern over vices. We cannot control people's choices, but we can provide ordinances to support recovery efforts. How long has this prohibition been in place? The city can change on an ordinance.
Let's all be respectful and let him speak.
The city can change or repeal an ordinance if it does not work. Change is scary, and it doesn't always work, but how can things get better if we don't try something new? Thank you all for your time.
And let me say thank you for everyone that took time to come and speak and share your opinions. We always want to be respectful. Even though we may disagree on things, it's important that we respect one another's opinions and differences. But I appreciate everyone that spoke and all of you that have come out this evening. The report of the minutes from the 5/14/26 meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If not, the minutes will stand as submitted. Moving on to the items that we have under unfinished business, the first of which is an ordinance establishing a fishing authorization process of catch and release within Vienna. Mr. Skogstad, do you want to read that in title or in its?
I think we just do it by title, and I'll go through each of the articles. An ordinance establishing a fishing authorization process and catch and release fishing requirements for city-owned or managed parks, ponds, and or lakes within the city of Vienna as amended. Article 1 sets out the purpose. Article 2 sets out a catch and release requirement. Article 3 sets out an exception for special events. Article 4 lays out what the fishing license requirement is, and briefly, all anglers 16 years of age or older are required who are going to fish in city-owned or managed parks, ponds, lakes, or other bodies of water. Have to have a valid West Virginia fishing license. They don't have to have a trout stamp, and you can't go frog gigging. This is one of the more pleasant ordinances we're going to deal with tonight. The ordinance tracks the exemptions, the state exemptions for state license requirement exempting folks who are 65 or older who have their senior lifetime licenses, residents who are blind, and so forth. And then of course it suspends it if there's a special event in case the city of Vienna ever wants to throw an event like they do in Parkersburg with the fishing derby, and lays out a penalty. That's the essentially the ordinance that you have tonight. I will point out that when I draft these, I drafted this at the request and with the guidance of the mayor. But I fished a lot more when I was younger, and I can't seem to get my kids that interested in it, but maybe that's part of my fault. But I have a friend who is an avid catch and release trout fisherman, and I just sat down and talked to him, and he said, "Well, did you think about this?" And I said, "No, I did not." So I've attached 2 amendments to it that I think may be beneficial to council to consider, and you can get to those in a second. But one is barbless hook restriction. It says basically if you have a treble hook, you would have to, for catch and release, the fish swallow them. It makes it a lot easier to get them out. And as second, it allows the single hooks, and the thought on that is, it allows for barbed single hooks, and the thought on that is, if you do get kids that are into fishing, it may be a little bit easier on a single hook for them to deal with it. And the second is a seasonal trout harvest, and I hadn't really thought of this either, which is why I stick with loitering and not fishing. But,
Did you say lawyering or loitering?
Either, both. I'm very good at both. A seasonal trout harvest, and I hadn't thought of this either, but we put, basically, this was an all year round catch and release program. The second amendment that I would suggest is just for trout, because frankly I thought about it. When we stock trout, when they stock multiple fish up there, to allow you to keep between June 1st and October 1st, that way everybody has an easy idea, or has a good idea, clear idea of when you can keep the trout up to 4. I took that number from the creel count that they use for in kids fishing. But the trout are going to die from the heat anyway when we put them in there. There's a good chance that a lot of them are going to die, so there's no sense in forcing to get fish. So that the main ordinance is what I read at the beginning, and then I added the 2 possible amendments. So obviously you'll vote on the first. This is the second reading. You'll vote on the ordinance has been presented, and then if council chooses to adopt any one or both or neither of the 2 amendments, you have to go through the process for that.
Do I have a motion to accept the ordinance on second reading? Yes. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Having a motion and a second, open for discussion. I would agree that we add those 2 amendments to that. Can we do it as one, or do we need
You
to
can do it.
separate?
You can do it as one if you want. Yes. Just make a motion to amend it.
I'd prefer to use it.
You want to do them individually?
Yeah.
All right. So the motion
That's
is
my preference, I don't know what. And I have a reason.
however you guys want to do it.
You want to make
I
a
just
motion?
need a motion.
Yeah, well, yes, I'd like to make a motion on the first one, where it talks about no person shall fish in a pond, lake, or other body of water, owned or managed by the city of Vienna using multiple hook lures unless all hooks are barbless, or any barbs are completely compressed so as to be functional barbless. And then number 2, I would like to make a change. Single hook lures may be used with barbless hooks.
You want to change it to
And remove either barb
Just no barbs at all.
No barbs at all.
All right, so your motion is to amend the ordinance to add barbless hook restrictions, but to just have it, all hooks be barbless.
Right.
Okay. Everybody understand what they're voting on?
Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Anybody got any discussion about hooks?
Just one question. So a single barbed hook versus a barbless hook. I'm not fishing. I'm a fishing. But is it the barb, for instance, is kids fishing on a single hook with a barb, does that improve their chances to catch a fish?
It probably improves their chance to keep it on the
And so
line.
is a single barbed hook so difficult to remove that it increaes the likelihood that even when you release the fish is going to die? So I guess that's the trade-off.
That's been my experience with barbed hooks, that it's difficult to get.
Are you fishing with it? I mean, that's what I'm asking for.
Used to be.
I mean, so, you know, so that would be the only thing is with no barb hook, does that decrease your chance to catch a fish if you're a kid? And if it's just a single hook with a barb, which to the limited extent I've done it, you know, you typically have a pair of needle nose pliers and you work the hook out and off the fish goes. But so that would be my only concern is does that render the fishing experience much less chance of success? It's just a thought I had. I really have no opinion about whether we should have a barb or barbless.
My experience fishing when I was younger was that I didn't catch any fish. But, when I got older and I had a daughter, we went out to C.O. Erickson's pond, and he didn't even allow bait. He said, just throw the line in there with a hook, and he had a barbless hook. And Aaron caught more fish that day than I caught in a lifetime. So I don't think a barbless hook is going to prevent kids from catching.
Wasn't just that she caught one fish.
Yeah, but every time she threw it in, she caught a fish.
Tony, did you have something that?
He said it. That's it.
I
don't believe that a barb or barbless. It's a lot of private ponds. People own private ponds, private lakes. They say barbless only, and you can take your child out there and you can catch 30 fish before lunchtime if you want to. So,
Having a motion and a second, is there any other discussion on the amendment to barbless hooks? Did you get that?
Yep, that was good.
All those in favor of the amendment, signify by raising your right hand. The amendment passes. Were you making a second amendment?
Yes, I'm just questioning, I don't have a problem with the way it stands, other than why would we stop something in this pond with trout when we know they're not gonna live? I'd rather spend the money stocking with fish that will live.
Well, they're not all gonna die.
Most of them,
but I mean,
it's a warm water pond.
Yes, well, that's up to you guys. Again, trout fishing is a lot of fun, and this is a recreation pond. But I'm not here to take a position one way or another. If you wanted to amend it, I'm not the fishing game, folks. That's up to y'all.
Harry?
For all of you that were not here last week or 2 weeks ago, this only applies to the little pond next to Medina Wildlife
Lake
Reserve.
Betsy.
Lake Betsy. It doesn't apply to the river or any other. That's the only waterway or water source that we're talking about.
So Ron, I would
So that's
answer,
what you're worried about.
Yeah. Ron, I would answer your question to say is that this isn't mandating that we have to stalk with trout. This is just saying, if we were to ever choose to stalk with trout, this is what we would do in response. We don't have to put trout in it. This is just the precautionary if we do.
Okay. I'm fine with it.
so I'll motion the amendment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the annual trout harvest, please signify by raising. You're harvesting them, right?
You are, that's a perfectly reasonable description.
Are there any other amendments that would like to be offered for this? None? Having passed the two amendments and having no others, having a motion and a second, all those in favor of passing on second reading the ordinance establishing the fishing process of catch and release signify by raising your right hand. Ordinance passes on second reading.
I'll prepare a final draft with the amendments incorporated.
Moving on to item number 2, it's the second reading amending Vienna Municipal Code 521.06A2 and 521.06A3, intoxication and drinking in public places. You want to read that in its entirety?
Hold on one second.
I haven't.
No, I've got it. I was trying to take notes on the and this is an ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code 521.06A2 and 521.06A3, intoxication and drinking in public places. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that it hereby amends 521.06A2 and A3 to read as follows. Paragraph 2, drink alcoholic liquor, wine, or non-intoxicating beer in a public place. 3, tender a drink of alcoholic liquor, wine, or non-intoxicating beer to another person in a public place. This ordinance shall take effect upon passage and approval. It is the intent of this ordinance only to amend the general prohibition of the consumption of alcoholic beverages consumed or sold in a public place to include wine. And as I stated at our last meeting, I think that ordinance, the ordinance that we have in place, conspicuously misses wine. And so this just adds that to the ordinance and makes it clearer, I think, to enforce the general prohibition.
So speaking, in the basic sense, currently our ordinance states that you're not allowed to drink alcohol or non-intoxicating beer in a public place. It doesn't address anything with wine. So in accordance with the old ordinance, there is nothing in our city code that would prohibit somebody from cracking open a bottle of Merlot or whatever. I'm not a wine drinker.
Thunderbird.
Something, red wine, white wine. I don't drink. There's nothing in our ordinance that would keep somebody from doing that and sitting on the street corner and drinking because we don't have a prohibition against it. This now adds wine to that list. So you can't sit on the street corner or a park bench and drink red or white wine. This isn't offered, or ink.
Pink.
Oh, pink. I thought you said ink. Yeah, so any wine. So again, just to provide clarification, we're not approving an authorization to do this. We're adding wine to the current ordinance so that they can't sit on the park bench or the street corner and drink wine.
Won't affect any religious ceremonies or any of the other institutions or anybody that's using it. There are specific exemptions for all of that stuff. That actually is in our ordinance and makes a reference to wine. It's just a specific prohibition is missing.
Having heard the ordinance on for second reading as submitted, do I have a motion to accept? I have a motion and a second. Anyone? Motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, we must have explained that really well.
You did.
Oh, call the question. Yes. All those in favor of passing the ordinance on second reading as submitted, please signify by raising your right hand. Ordinance passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 3 is the second reading of an ordinance authorizing the sale, service, possession, or consumption of alcoholic beverage on city-owned or city-managed property. Mr. Skelton.
And I'll just read it by title and then try to summarize it. This is an ordinance authorizing the sale, service, possession, and consumption of alcoholic beverages on city-owned or city-managed property under conditions established by the City of Vienna. So what essentially this ordinance does is if we have a program or a festival or plan to have an event, this allows for the city to have direct control, if it takes place on city property, of how any alcohol sales would be conducted, how they would, the containers, the number of drinks, and so on and so forth, the conditions under which they're sold, and it puts that under the direct control of the city. The city has already passed a policy that lays it out. A lot of the stuff would be essentially dealt with by contract between whatever vendor it was. Part of this is to address an issue, and I'm sure the mayor may want to go into this more than I do, but briefly, Spencer's Landing has become the spot where we host programs like the Freedom Festival. In years past, there have been alcohol sales that have been adjacent to the Freedom Festival. There were two properties that are not within the city that are adjacent, one on each side. Minniebell, and I think Mr. Mr. Harper's property. I think there were beer tents that were set up there in years past. What this does, and those are all, so the city has to deal with the outcome and ramifications, but has no way to address or control how alcohol will be sold. What this ordinance does is allow the city to have a mechanism to deal with those issues. So we're down there. We have the Freedom Festival with all the normal things that you have to deal with, including having law enforcement and emergency services. But the city doesn't have any control over how alcohol may be sold there. And I think, well, I'm not going to give you, that's the legal reason for it. And essentially that's the ordinance that you're passing. I'm sorry. And voting, I'm sorry, not passing. You're voting on, you haven't passed anything. But that's the ordinance that passed on first reading. But essentially that's it. It allows the city the flexibility to use those properties if it so chooses. It's not a mandate that the city has to. It's not a mandate that the city is required to allow alcohol sales on city property. It just develops a mechanism where if that were to occur, these are the conditions under which it could occur. And there's a policy in place that was passed by resolution at the last meeting in anticipation of this potentially passing. So that's where we stand.
Do I have a motion to accept this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, opening for discussion, you give your legal side, I'll try to swing down. Right now, the city owns several pieces of property throughout the community that are bordered by county property, which we have zero control over whatsoever. I can't do anything with it. I can't enforce anything with it. It's covered under, on the law enforcement side, it's covered by the county. And we don't have any mechanism in place to be able to try to control what would go in or on around these areas. So say if there's an event from anywhere from downtown to Spencer's Landing, as Mr. Skogstad stated, we don't have anything in place. We talk about fairs and festivals and those things. And we did have a situation last year where there were alcohol sales off-site. Well, you've got then the scenario that I had no real control over what was sold, where it was sold, how it was sold, how much could be sold, and what the restricted area in which that it could be sold in. There was nothing in place. And we had nothing in ordinance that gave the city the ability to basically put these parameters on what was going on. Even when we spoke with, law enforcement, I spoke with Chief Powell, there was very, very minor actions that we could take to enforce it if somebody had gone over and they had bought 13 drinks or 20, we had no control over how much you could sell or what could be sold. This gives the city a mechanism in place so that we have the availability to put these restrictions in so that we can protect those that are attending, those that are participating in this, and to be able to regulate with the liability coverages and things that groups would have to be able to protect the city in and of itself. We have never had that on the books because it's never come up before, because we've never been in a position that we were really doing anything along those lines. So this is a step to safeguard and to give the city itself the ability to regulate where it would be sold, how many could be sold, what could be sold in that instance, and provide those mechanisms so that we could do that. So that's what this does in a nutshell.
Just to add a little, to clarify just a little bit, because I think that some of the folks that spoke at public forum talked about would this open up alcohol sales to the park, to the parks in general. Could you just go bring a case of Coors Light? No, you cannot. Just to point it out, no person or entity shall possess, sell, serve, distribute, or prevent the consumption of alcoholic beverages on city-owned or city-managed property unless expressly authorized by the city through a written permit issued by the mayor or his or her designee. You have to be a lawful business entity authorized to conduct business in the state of West Virginia. You have to maintain all of your West Virginia ABC alcoholic beverage commission's licenses. You have to comply with all the provisions of the City of Vienna policy governing the sale, possession, and consumption of alcohol on city-owned or city-managed property, and all the permit conditions therein. So this is not, just so we're all clear, this ordinance does not just allow alcohol on city property. This is a very narrow set of circumstances that requires a permit, requires rules that have to be abided by. But anyway, that's just so we're all clear that this isn't just a blanket repeal or what have you on the prohibitions of selling alcohol. This is a very narrow set of conditions, I guess this was that.
Any other discussion?
And I'm just saying, and I think Mayor and Mr. Skogstad have done a great job of really summarizing the ordinance, and I would encourage everyone to take a look at the last meeting's agenda. If you're having questions about this, it's a really well drafted policy. And I'll tell you, whenever I first read the ordinance, I did have concerns, but as I read through the policy that was drafted, I think it really put my heart at ease as far as what the intention is. And I think, like Mayor said, and Mr. Skogstad both said, it gives us a mechanism to kind of control what happens on city-owned property. Without it, there's a lot of things that can happen on the neighboring properties that we really have no control over. And with this policy in place, which was voted for and passed last meeting, so it's already established. With this policy in place, I believe this is a positive way to be able to control what takes place on city-owned property.
Eric?
That's your knee. That was his elbow.
They're making fun of me because I just had a knee replacement in December. I think this is really essential. When I was here as prosecuting attorney, I got stuck with another one of those free jobs. I was the second president of the Parkersburg Homecoming Board. And without this kind of authority, we wouldn't be able to have a Parkersburg Homecoming. And down in Charleston, we had the Regatta Festival and various other festivals that people from all over come to and enjoy. And so I would certainly support the ordinance.
We gotta spray your microphone, I think. Is there any other discussion? Having a motion and a second, and no other further discussion and or amendments, those in favor of passing the ordinance on second reading as submitted, please signify by raising your hand. Ordinance passes unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. The next item up on our agenda is the ordinance on second reading amending section 132911 of the codified city ordinance to remove certain restrictions on the sale of alcohol within District 2 as amended. Mr. Skogstad.
This is an ordinance amending section 132911 of the codified ordinances of the city of Vienna to remove certain restrictions on the sale of alcohol in District 2 as amended. Being ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that section 132911A of the codified ordinances of the City of Vienna is hereby amended to remove the prohibition on the sale, giving, or dispensing of liquor, alcohol, spirits, wine, or beer for on-premises consumption on commercial property situated within that portion of District 2 bounded on the south by the southerly side of 20th Street and extending in a northerly direction to the northerly side of 34th Street. Do you want me to go into explaining anything right now as far as this goes?
No.
Okay.
Having heard the ordinance on second reading, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Having a motion and a second, open for discussion.
So I'm gonna jump in and say that, just based on respect for everybody in the room and their concerns, as well as, our read, one thing I wanna mention is, this has not come as a fast decision. This has been discussed for years. I've been on council. This is my third term. This has always been a topic of conversation. Notwithstanding that, I would like to amend what we have to impose north of 20th Street, an amendment to restrict alcohol sales at no later than 11 p.m. And also something that people who may or may not be aware, so south of 20th Street in our commercial district, and all of this is our same commercial district from the beginning of Vienna to 34th Street. So south of 20th Street is just covered by West Virginia ABCC regulations. Establishments there are free to stay open until 2 a.m. should they choose. None do. I think the latest that we have any establishment open is maybe midnight on a weekend. And so that's just one thing to be clear. So this will restrict, if the amendment passes, the alcohol sales to 11 p.m. north of 20th Street, unlike the remainder of Vienna. And one of the things, with Officer Ingram here, and we have one of the best funded, well-trained, most respected police forces in the region. And they are certainly capable and competent, as we exist today and fully staffed, to manage the enforcement of our laws and keeping order and peace in our city. And it really, I would think, if you ask them, they do that fine just as it is. And we don't have issues or problems south of 20th Street with 2 a.m. regulations in place. So with that, I would move to amend the restriction to 11 p.m. North of 20th Street to this ordinance.
So the amendment is to add a provision that says no alcohol sales may be made, sales, service, provision, distribution. I need to get the language right. If you just give me a second.
Very slow siren today.
All right, so the language is consistent. No alcohol sales. Give me a second. Do you want the word consumption in your amendment?
Well, the legal terms of art that effectuate the intent of the ordinance.
That's a great lawyer.
Wow, that was a great lawyer.
All right. Let's do this. All right. No alcohol sales may be authorized. No alcohol may be sold, provided or distributed after 11 p.m. I don't know.
Are you going to read it again?
Should there be, there's a prohibited date,
Provided.
is it end, like, right before we have the 10 a.m. the following morning? We should put a date.
What you want to say? You want the amendment to read between? You want your amendment to read between the hours of 11 p.m. and 10 a.m., which are that's my recollection of what the general sales are. Okay.
What is the state law on that?
I believe it's 10 a.m. And it's 10 a.m. Sundays. It's
7
Yeah.
Is
Is it 7?
I think so.
10 a.m. on Sundays.
2 a.m. to 7 a.m.
7, yeah, I
I
think
think.
that's right.
Let me double check. I've done that research.
Who starts drinking at 7
There's some places have shift workers.
a.m.? Oh, there you go.
So you worked in the coal mines, you got off at 4 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. You wanted to have a beer after you got home from work.
Oh, there you go. I guess. Do you want to read it now?
Well, I'm gonna write it.
There is, while he's taking time to get your correct verbiage right, If anybody needs a bottle of water or anything, we have them setting. You're more than welcome to those. They are non-alcoholic. Nothing has been turned from water into wine here this evening.
This is pure leaf iced tea, by the way, if you all were staring at it.
So our ordinance, if this is right, Ross, our ordinance is 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. Yeah.
Which reflects.
We can say from 11 to
11
10.
p.m. Yes.
Right.
You want to do 11 p.m. to 10 a.m.?
Yes.
No alcohol sales, service and or distribution, or no sales, service and or distribution of alcoholic beverages may occur between 11 p.m. and 10 a.m. Everybody agree with the language of that, Jim? Okay.
All right, I have a motion to add an amendment that would restrict the sale of alcohol from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. Is there any other discussion?
I would just like to say something.
There's not been a second yet.
There hasn't been a second. Okay.
No, Harry seconded.
No, Harry seconded. Yeah, Harry seconded. I'm sorry, we missed.
I missed it.
I would be more comfortable with that being midnight, and the reason that I say that, I think that 1 hour at a time, and I know it seems probably municipal, but I think that we need to think about the businesses and their viability. And that 1 hour of time between 11 p.m. and 12 midnight, especially on the weekends, can be a lot of sales for businesses. I don't think we need to worry about, we're not going to be having bars and strip clubs and nightclubs and things like that in the middle of the weekend. I don't see that happen. I could be wrong. But I really think that if we're going to be business friendly and we're going to encourage business, and I did talk to Lindsay Pearsall today, and she did say that people, she's been approached by businesses, by restaurants, looking for places to locate. And one of the things they're looking for is some place where they can serve alcohol. And we're talking more like a Applebee's or an Outback, something like that. We're not talking about, dive bars and things like that. So I'd like to, is there any way that we can change that from 11 p.m. to midnight?
I am strongly opposed to that. This is in a residential area. We're making an exception. We're trying to find a compromise and put something in place. We have homes in this area. We have residents that have lived in this area for many years. I went to area establishments like Applebee's and Wings, and I discussed with them what their last call times were. This does not fall out of anything that would be out of the ordinary. Applebee's cuts off at 9:40. Is it 9:45 through the week, and 10:45 through the week, and 11:45 on the weekends.
They're until midnight on the weekend.
They are, but their last call is 11:45.
Right, they have to, so they serve before they close.
And respectfully, I disagree, and I would in no way favor adding an additional hour to this amendment.
Procedurally, you have an amendment on the floor that's been moved and seconded. That needs to take a vote, and then if another amendment wants to be proffered, it could be motion and seconded after that.
Did you have another discussion point?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I think it was about a month and a half ago, Mayor brought this in as a discussion point to really kind of air out some of our thoughts and concerns about, the potential of this ordinance coming in front of council. And that night, I had given it a lot of thought up until this point, and I really thought, at the time I said 10 p.m. I thought, having a time of 10 p.m. would allow, a restaurant to come in, and really my mind was always focused on restaurants. The more I've given consideration to this, I really fall back to the fact that we've we've initiated a $150,000 task order to the greatest engineer company in the state of West Virginia to come in and to present and develop a plan for what's going to end up being a beautiful piece of infrastructure down here on city-owned property. Thinking about the potential of the growth that we're going to see down here, and I know it's going to take some money. We've talked, it could be upwards of 1.8 million for this project, which that's come out in chambers. So, but seeing the potential for that, it seems like, and listen, it seems like in my personal opinion that allowing that to be the catalyst of growth, or allowing things of that nature to be the catalyst of growth, that seems like the right way to go about it. However, I also recognize that as an elected person, I can't always use my personal opinions and my personal feelings to act as a responsible leader of the city. And then I have to think about, okay, if a restaurant, say somebody wants to come in and they want to open a business, in our downtown area, and they want to, bring something, they want to invest into our community, they want to see our community grow. They're pouring themselves into it. I am a small business owner, and I understand, it's a investment into the community whenever you're doing things to make things better, to make improvements. And I want to encourage that. And I understand that, if having a restaurant, having something here in town, and being able to see, a lot of people like to have a glass of wine or a beer with a dinner. You can go down to Olive Garden and do it right now, or Applebee's, or all of the other restaurants that we have, here in our great city. These places are already established and they're there. I think having the ability to bring in a restaurant like that in this area, it would be good for our community. It would be good to see some of these front doors coming up on Grand Central Avenue, and I think it would be a positive thing for people to be able to walk from the stuff that we have down at Spencer's Lane, potentially John's Manville in the future, and come up and have a nice dinner or a nice lunch with a restaurant right there. I don't think it has to revolve around alcohol personally. I definitely don't believe alcohol needs to be a catalyst for growth. But that being said, I do also think that having a shutdown time is important. I don't want to see alcohol sales going until 2 a.m. I think there's plenty of research out there to back, that says this is going to cause problems. This is going to be a headache. And I think our law enforcement officers, they unfortunately are the ones that see a lot of the results of the late nights. So I can't personally say that I'm in favor of the ordinance, but as a representative of the city, I try to remove my personal feelings out of the equation and try to see what's best for the city. And ultimately, I do think that this could help our city in the long run.
If I may, just one last thing. Right. Just so we all have an understanding. So presently, and council's aware of this because they've dealt with the issue on different occasions. Between 28th and 34th Street, there's a bar on alcohol sales. That's part of the commercial district. There's no sale of alcohol.
By the glass.
By the glass. Well, yes, by the glass. You could have a store that could sell there. But anyway. So initially, the original draft of the ordinance had a provision that said not within 200 feet of a school or what have you. The ordinance that you have in front of you eliminates the restriction altogether. And I'm doing this so council understands. Each category of alcohol, there are essentially three categories that are governed by the state. There's what's statutorily called non-intoxicating beer. It's just an old holdover, but anyway, that's what beer is. What you think of as beer is still called non-intoxicating beer by the statute. They didn't write that when I was in college. And you have two different categories of licenses for each. So you have beer, you have liquor, and you have wine. So you get a Class A or a Class B beer license. So that's typically what your bars and restaurants do. A Class B beer license is typically your grocery store. So Class A beer license, just think of that as on-premises consumption. Class B beer license, think of that as for sale to be consumed on premises. It authorizes it to a grocery store, delicatessens, caterers, party supply stores, and certain other retail establishments that are dedicated solely to food products, and table supplies and what have you, things that you buy to have a party. Class A and B, you get Class A and B liquor licenses. And even though they share the same name, they have different things. So Class A beer is, just think of that as your traditional liquor store, and Class B is your mixed retail outlets, a convenience store that has a license to sell liquor, or like the CVS that has a liquor section in it. And then you have wine. You have Class A wine licenses, and that's Class A is again for on premises. Those are your private restaurants that we're all talking about. Private wine bed and breakfast is a spa. You may go get a massage and a glass of wine, whatever. Class B are for the off premises. That's for the people that sell, bottles of wine or wine by growler or grocery stores or what have you, the places that sell that. And I say all of that because the state will be the one that is going to be issuing licenses and considering what the business is. So you can put a business in and you apply for a license, and it's going to be up to the, I used to call them the ABC, the Alcoholic Beverage Commission. And there are different, based on what category of license you have, is what can govern where you can sell things. So if you want to sell beer, non-intoxicating beer, but only Class A, so if you want to have a bar or a restaurant, that can only be within 200 feet of any church or school. It specifically exempts out a Class B. So if you had a convenience store beside a church, they would still be able to sell beer. So that would be able to happen in this area if there were a place to put a convenience store.
But that can already happen.
Well, it can now with our ordinance because we've been out. Well, yes, I guess it could because it's Class B. It could be, yeah, because that's Class B. That already happens. But to put a restaurant in, the restaurant couldn't be within 200 feet of a church or school. With a wine, there's no school or church distance restriction. But typically those places sell mixtures. They sell wine, alcohol, wine, beer, liquor. So they would have the same restriction that they would for some other category of sales. And the same with liquor stores. Retour liquor store, Class A or Class B, there's no district restriction. So in theory, you could have a straight up old school liquor store in this district. And I say that just because I don't know how clear I made it at the last time, and I wanted to make it clear. So the only clear statewide school church distance rule is for beer, Class A, that's for selling it by the drink, can't be within 200 feet of the school. The others say, the CSRs or the legislative rules that govern this, they all say a reasonable distance or what have you. It's a very nebulous term, but it is what it is. They would still have, those businesses will all have to apply for the state and have to go through all of the state's rules to get their licenses. And I only say that just because I want to make sure that everybody understands what my understanding of it all is.
So right now we're going back to the amendment.
Yes.
Which is from 11 p.m.
Yes.
to 10 a.m.
That's
I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion?
Yes, I do. I've really struggled with this, to be quite frank with everybody. I'm 67 years old, and with the exception of 5 years of my life, I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Vienna. I grew up on 28th Street, 11th Avenue, and walked to school, to Neal School. There used to be a little restaurant across Neal School at the time, Hospitality Inn. We had the Quality Burger on 28th Street. And I saw over the course of my life, I saw Vienna change. I saw businesses come and businesses go. Where Hospitality Inn was across Neal School, it went into a gas station, and now there's a pharmacy there. And there may have been a couple other structures there. What I'm concerned about is what we call this area, downtown Vienna, that I see a lot of vacant buildings. And it really hurts to see my city not having any type of economic development plan, as far as I know, to make the city great. And then I started thinking about that because I listened to everybody concerned about selling alcohol in Vienna, downtown Vienna. And I hear you, but I got to thinking, back in the day, in the early 70s, there was a piece of land that was an airport, and they decided to build a mall down there. And that caused huge economic growth. For example, where Hobby Lobby was, that was a little farm. There was cattle and horses there. And there was a little 2-lane road from Parkersburg to Vienna, and you had a couple of factories there. The mall came, and it caused what we call the Miracle Mile. What you see, all these businesses below 20th Street down to Grand Central Mall. And to this day, I don't see any bars down through there. I see one gambling joint, City Perk, which is not a coffee place. By the way, I thought that was a coffee place too. So that's how naive I was.
Brian, if you want to go get coffee, obviously we know a place.
I'm not an alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. Well, Bloody Mary and I don't drink coffee either. But I see Vienna grow, and I don't see those issues that we're having concerns with the citizens who spoke. Ms. Ethel talked about what the city was like, and and I like that city, but I don't have a problem with the city growing. And I think, from my perspective, just because of the Miracle Mile and all the growth we've had over the years, I do not see us passing this ordinance going to have a negative effect. That's my personal opinion on that. I was against it because there was no time frames. We are now having a time frame where alcohol is being prohibited. You cannot sell. And I think that is a control. I think it's going to signal to businesses that are known for their alcohol versus known for their food will be deterred from coming in here just because of the time frame. That's just my personal thought. I may be wrong on that. So that's kind of where I stand on this, is that I'm really glad that we're going to vote on having this time frame restriction. So thank you.
I'd just like to say a few more things. I don't know whether to say it now or when we.
Does it have anything to do with the current amendment?
The current.
11 to 10.
Yes, it will.
Let's vote on the amendment, then we'll move on to other discussion.
Okay, well, let me say a couple things about that.
About the amendment?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I was talking to Lindsay today, we were talking about different businesses and so forth, and she had found some information. And I'm not suggesting that we keep this at 2 a.m., but this is just information. Parkersburg allows restaurants to stay open until 2 a.m. And sell alcohol. Belfry's 2:30 a.m., Marietta's 2:30 a.m. And so basically, what happens is that even with that openness to be open that late and sell alcohol, there are very few businesses in Parkersburg, Belfry, and Marietta that do that. J.P. Henry's closes at 11:30. Glenor Hazard at 10. Huffman's Prime Steakhouse at 10 p.m. The Lost Anchor at 10. Wings, etc. is 11, and then 12 on weekends. And so is Applebee's. So, you've got businesses that even though they have the option to stay open that late and to serve alcohol that late, that is not their priority to do that. So you can't find any restaurants here in this area that, even though they're allowed to by state law, stay open that late. Not saying that someone might not try to open a bar or something like that. That's not what I'm saying.
That's the point.
That's the point. Yeah, that's
Jim,
right.
what are you going to do with your building?
All right, so this is not a conversation back and forth. I'm going to call for the question on this amendment. That is discussion. All those in favor of the amendment signaling from 11 p.m. to 10 a.m. signify by raising your right hand. There you go. Thank you. Moving on now to other discussion and or other amendments.
I'd like to go ahead and talk about a couple of things. When I mentioned this Lindsay Pearsall before, she's the director of Wood County Economic Development, and she is also our partner in Vienna of working to bring businesses and such to our city to be able to stimulate economic growth. What Tony was saying about Spencer's Landing is absolutely the basis for this, and I think Mr. Leach has said this has not been a fast decision. This has been talked about for a very, very long time. This came to the Planning Commission in January of this year, and the Planning Commission recommended that Vienna adopt this alcohol ordinance. It's been amended a little bit, but basically it's the same, and send it to City Council to look at approving it. So this has not been a fast decision. There's been a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of ins and outs about it. But I think Vienna is doing what it needs to do to be the best city that it can be. When I was talking to Lindsay, we were talking about a couple of businesses, and Harry, you might be familiar. 1010 in South Charleston, that restaurant on Bridge Street, little tiny restaurant in South Charleston. They serve alcohol. They're not open late, but it's, again, they would not do the business that they do without the sale of alcohol. Southern Craft in North End is similar in that it's basically in a residential area, and they sell alcohol, but they also close early. The other thing I wanted to say, economic development is paramount to our city. It brings in the revenue that we need to be able to function. So with the increase in business and restaurant sales and alcohol sales, we have increased money for city improvements, city repairs. We have increases in property taxes. We have sales tax. We have B&O tax. Repairing streets, patching potholes, developing parks. It doesn't come free. We have to have the money to do that. And the only way that we have the money to do that is to develop the cities to get a revenue stream in. Spencer's Landing will help, obviously, but we also need to develop downtown. And so, when I vote on this is because I believe that it's the best thing to do for the city. It's not based on anything else. It's based on what Tony was saying, the same thing. It's our responsibility to do what we think is best for the city. Not our opinion, not our beliefs, not anything else. What is best for the city. So that's what I'm voting on when I vote on this.
So now we're just on to the regular ordinance itself, as amended. So I did a video the other night and basically explained how all of this came about. In the original recommendation was that it be removed without restrictions. I brought forward a proposal that kept restrictions and did that. And it caused me to then look even deeper into the state code and how that affected. And I looked at the churches. One, there's Neil schools going away, so that I didn't take that into consideration. But I did take the library, Wayside United Methodist, Wesley, the Independent Baptist, Vienna Baptist, and the Churches of Christ into consideration. And I looked at what would be a 200-foot radius, and that's what Mr. Skogstad said is already defined by state code. You can't have that within a 200-foot radius. I abstained from the voting last session because I own property in this area, especially I own property in the 200-foot area. So the property that I own will be excluded regardless. I know there's been some conversation about how this profits individuals that sit on council and accusations made. So we just want to be clear about how all of those things do affect. And I just wanted to state for the record that the property that I own will be excluded by the 200-foot radius that is already in state law. Right now, you can already buy alcohol in this area. For years, everybody is familiar with the U-Bolt through. Is anybody not familiar with what the U-Bolt through is? No. So everybody knows what the U-Bolt through is, or Dollar General, or it was Foodland and Piggly Wiggly, and now the Vienna Market. Dollar General. There's a half dozen places where you can go already in this area and buy alcohol. I was very opposed to removing all the restrictions. However, with an 11 p.m. cutoff time, I believe most individuals would agree that would deter, and where our concern is, and where my concern was, for bars and those type of establishments to go in. Restaurants, I've gone to countless numbers of restaurants that serve alcohol. Growing up, my father's here. We didn't go in any restaurant that served alcohol. Growing up, we did a lot of Bonanza, Ponderosa, Long John Silver's, back in the day. I was fine, growing up like that. However, as I left the area and I went around the world with the Army, I saw the bigger picture on what was there, and I understood, and I think many of us have probably went to restaurants in the area that serve alcohol. So the question wasn't whether or not we would allow and welcome a nice restaurant to be able to come and be able to establish itself. And if you look at it, really in general, according to our city code, when it comes to opening business in general, you have to have parking spaces. You have to have all of these various things. So a large portion of this area is already going to be excluded because of the current code that we have in place. There's going to be a very limited area that this would even apply to that would give that opportunity. Then you draw the 200-foot circle, and I have that if anybody wants a copy of it or to look at it. Around those 6 churches that I mentioned in the library, it takes out a lot of those areas as well. So this provides a safeguard that, yes, it could open up the possibility for a restaurant to come in that we could see. Southern Craft was mentioned in some various things. That could come in and open a decent restaurant, but it protects now the community from a 2 a.m. last call bar life or a club opening up in these residential areas. So I'm grateful, Mr. Leach, that you introduced that amendment and that it was accepted by council. That's all I got. Anybody else got anything they want to say? Any other comments and/or? Having a first and a second, now voting on the ordinance as amended. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
Listen, a year and a half into this, I'm getting the language right. All those in favor of accepting the ordinance as amended, please signify by raising your right hand. And I am abstaining. Motion passes 5 with 1 abstain. All right, does anybody need a break? I'm going to adjourn for 10 minutes and we'll start our meeting back in. If you want to stay for the rest of the meeting, feel free to grab a bottle of water and we'll be
Sit comfortably, because you know those things are important. And I know you're.
So you're gonna have to go see him on Sunday. You'll have to see him on Sunday.
All right, let the record reflect that at 7:45 p.m., we are coming back into session. All right. Mr. Adam Jones and your compadre here, Mr. Parks, yes, we've shared all of the stuff on Facebook, are going to speak to us about the Jackson Middle School project in addition.
Yes. Thanks for having us. I'm glad it's cleared out a little bit. This is going to be a way easier topic, I promise you. So, a couple
You're
weeks
not going to put a keg in the wrestling room?
You say keg?
That's not city-controlled property, right? So.
Oh, and that was on the live feed.
So a couple weeks ago, I approached Councilman Morrison about the possibility of seeking city help on this project that Coach Parks and I have been discussing for probably a month and a half now, somewhere around there. Under Coach Parks' leadership, the wrestling program has really developed and really flourished with numbers. And Jackson School does not have a mini gym. It's the only middle school in Wood County that does not have a mini gym. Therefore, in the fall, you have four basketball programs, a cheer program, and a wrestling program vying for one gym. That takes practice up until about 9:30, sometimes 10 o'clock at night at Jackson Middle School. It's not really fair for any student athlete, middle school or high school level. So, we are looking to build a second athletic facility on top of the football field. It will be adjoined to the existing weight room. This building will serve solely as a dedicated wrestling facility. That will be close to 2,000 square feet for wrestling only. Locker rooms for male athletes, female athletes. It will also house the West Virginia Hospital's athletic trainer. We will remove the building that we have dedicated to her for that, and she'll be housed in there. We're also going to put the new concession stand in there. So both of those buildings we tore down, and we will house both facilities inside the new building. The grand scheme of things, we were told by Wood County Schools, is hopefully in the next 2-3 years, that field is going to be turfed, and they're going to put an all-weather track up there and house the middle school athletic events there. Right now we vie for PHS space, South Erickson facility, and Williamstown as well. And when you throw in freshman, JV, varsity football, along with soccer, there's not a whole lot of time for middle school athletics at those facilities. So in 2 or 3 years, when that is put into place and that is there, we will also have a brand new facility for concessions, the athletic trainer, the wrestling program. So we, like I said, I spoke with Mr. Morrison. I can't remember what it was, but he approached Mayor Emmerich, and we spoke, and we wanted to see if we could get a donation from the city to help us reach our goal on the building. We have got a quote from a company out of North Carolina to build the building. We presented to the Board of Education on Tuesday. They had a couple questions for us. We are meeting with Caleb Lawrence, the assistant superintendent who's in charge of facilities and grounds for Wood County Schools, tomorrow to finalize and rough out a couple of small details and then get the approval June 9th at their next meeting to move forward with the project. Like I said, we are seeking $35,000 donation from the city. I'm a police officer here in the city. I've served the city for 18 years. I've been a football coach since 2012. Coach Parks also serves on my staff on the football team too. Everybody that knows me knows that I believe the youth is the future of this city. We can discuss alcohol sales and all that, but at the end of the day, if the youth leave this area, there's nothing for youth, the city dies. So My firm opinion is if we build for the youth and we give back to the youth stay. If we invest, they stay. And if this facility gets built as Wood County Schools hopes to, that is huge for the city. That is soccer field, football field that's turfed, all weather. It won't get muddy or anything like that. A 6-lane track. You know, if Wood County Schools decides to open up to the public, that is a nice walking track for the community to go up and walk. The other thing about this new facility is the police department will also utilize it for trainings, defensive tactics and whatnot. So it's a multi-purpose facility. We guesstimated there'll be about 400 student athletes that will utilize this per season. That goes from Jackson athletics all the way down to the Vienna rec programs, whether it be football, Vienna rec cheer, and then there's a possibility of bringing back a Vienna rec wrestling program as well. So 400 athletes per year is pretty significant. So like I said, we're just asking for a contribution from the city. This project is being funded solely on donations from private entities, and that's it. So we are just, like I said, just wanted to present that, and yeah.
So I have a question. So real quick, in our discussion,
yes.
The city of Vienna already has access to the workout facility.
Correct.
I know we have volunteer firemen, city employees that are able to use. Law enforcement community as a whole would be or use that at times. In this facility, based upon availability, would obviously with your needs being the priority, that same MOU of understanding would be there between the city and the facilities itself.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I got.
So my question was, so obviously $35,000 is not going to get you.
Correct.
Let's say you don't get that. Okay. So is this allocation contingent upon you getting the other funding, such that what happens? You know, I mean, my boys wrestle Cougars.
Yep.
You know, obviously, I'm a fan. Okay, that's not the point. But what happens if you can't put it together? What happens to that $35,000?
So the conversation that Adam and I had, and Tony, were you in there when we had this? There was the three of us, wasn't it? Probably. Is that probably is that the city's donation would not be paid until all the funds were secured, and I'm sure other investors are going to feel that same. The city's not investing. I don't want to say that, but other people that are donating funds will want that clear. Yes, he's committed. Yes, she's committed. Yes, they've committed. This entity's committed. Then you pull all those together. Then basically you go and call in those IOUs.
Correct. So basically, as of right now, our plan would be to break ground as soon as we get permission from Wood County Schools on June 9th. We're already about 65,000 in. So the building was.
In addition, and this would be another 35 on top.
So with the city's 35, we're about 65 right now total. The building's only 93, so we're really close. Our goal was 150, and that would outfit some, rough it in the interior, HVAC and whatnot. But the building alone, just the rough shell, which is more than enough to get started with everything, is only 93. So we're really close to that, reaching that goal already. And we truly believe in the next 2 weeks that we'll reach the remaining balance of that.
So I have another question, and this is equal time. Sharon Marks reached out to me last week, and she's trying to raise donations to pave the track. She's been the girls' track coach for 20 years. Everybody knows, her contribution. And she asked me to make a contribution, which I agreed. And she also asked me for ideas for some funding sources, the same thing. And I said, well, you could approach the city of Vienna as well. And so I just want council to be aware that we've got another group. And so what can you say?
So I'll elaborate on that. So Mr. Lawrence approached me that they opened a bid, and the bid was $39,000 to blacktop that track, which is the first step to all weathering a track. You have to blacktop it, and then they come in and they spray. Mm-hmm. So Mr. Lawrence approached me and wanted to know if we could help offset that just a little bit. Not the full amount, not the full $39,000. If we could find a $5,000 or $10,000 donation to help with that. And that's when I contacted Mrs. Marks and put her on top of that. So they're not looking for the full amount of the $39,000. They were simply looking just for a small amount, like the $5,000 to $10,000, to help offset the $39,000. That's all they're looking for on that. They're not looking for an entity to fund the full project. Wood County Schools has budgeted $39,000. He just wanted to know if there was availability for somebody to donate towards the project.
So, in considering these multiple requests, and if that, so, just so I understand, so you have every anticipation you're gonna raise the 93 grand for the building?
Correct.
Your total project is 150-ish? I know what ish is always on the end of these numbers.
93 gets us the building.
Right, okay.
Yeah, we have a solid quote for 93 on the building.
Okay, and so then, understanding that you're saying that the board has agreed to the 39 grand for the track. I just want to make sure, like I said, I'm hearing this.
The track. So they sent out their bidding for the blacktopping for Wood County Schools and facilities. And to do the back parking lot or the track at Jackson Middle School, it came in at $39,000. And some odd, I don't know the oddities. They have that. They've budgeted that. They've got that. But he asked if they could piggyback a little bit on the donation side of it to help offset some cost to the blacktop of the track.
Your donation side? In other words, are you going to be contributing money from what you guys collect?
That's why I reached out to Sharon
So then, let me just state this to make sure I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
So the 35 you're coming to us for is contingent upon you raising the rest of the funds to achieve your goal. That concomitant with that effort, the board is going to fund 39 grand. Sharon's trying to put another 5 grand or so on top of that. And I got a question. I want to ask the mayor that I don't want to ask. Russ?
Yeah.
I have a question. Can we go to executive session on a real estate matter?
Yeah, I think so. Just we need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oop, I thought my job, sorry.
That's it. All in favor of going into executive session? We will be right back.
thing in the building that really has to be where it is the hallway that connects the two buildings together. It has to stay, right? Like, we can only move the building so far to the left and so far towards the fence, so that hallway has to line up. The size of the wrestling room has to stay the same, but we can slide it around if we need to. The concession window will have to stay on the end near the bleachers, because we can't turn it towards the track, because obviously if they expand the track, then you can't stand on the track and then run on the track.
But really, none of that affects your funding. That's all.
Correct. Easily manipulated stuff.
That's all Lego pieces on the inside.
Correct.
Are there any other questions on that? All right. Then let's move then to the resolution authorizing a donation of $35,000 for the Jackson Multi-Sport Facility Project.
Whereas the City of Vienna has received a request for $35,000 to support construction of a youth program development center at Jackson Middle School multi-sport facility serving grades K through 8. Whereas the facility will provide a permanent space for youth athletics, including wrestling, football, and cheerleading, and is expected to benefit hundreds of local youths. Whereas the project promotes youth development through safe, structured programming that fosters discipline, leadership, and community engagement. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Vienna hereby authorizes the donation of $35,000 to Jackson Middle School / or the Wood County Board of Education or their designee for construction of said facility pending final approval of the project by Jackson Middle School and or the Wood County Board of Education. Be it further resolved that the mayor and recorder are authorized to execute any documents necessary to carry out this donation.
Do I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Open for discussion.
I'll say this, and for, you all know I'm all for this. I think it's great, and I think Mr. Jones, hit it that this is going to serve tens of thousands of Vienna students, children, teens for the next several decades. I mean, the amount of money that we're looking at here as a donation towards this facility. Pales in comparison to the things, the amount that we budget yearly for other areas, and for instance, like the senior citizens, and not that I'm knocking. I love the facility that we have. I love the facility. I love the facility that we have for seniors, and I fully support that every year.
Daddy will get you.
I'm just thinking that it's easy to put forth a smaller amount like this, even at a one-time basis, for the development of something that's going to support our children here in the city for the next half a century at least. For $35,000, to me, it's a no-brainer, and I feel like a lot of the city would agree and also benefit from this. So, thank you for bringing this, and thank you guys for putting the time and the work and the effort into getting this together and continually, and I'm looking forward to seeing it actually, come to fruition. So I appreciate it.
And some championships.
We discussed earlier, but I don't see it in the ordinance or the resolution that our donation would be contingent upon them securing the additional funds.
Do you want to make a motion to amend the resolution to say that it's further contingent upon
Fully funding the project.
the project becoming fully funded?
That's exactly what I would like to make.
All right, we have a motion.
So we've got a motion and a second.
What's the motion?
The motion is to add it that this donation is contingent upon
Fully funding the project.
fully funding the project.
93,000.
The building. I wouldn't put a number in there.
The
No,
building
it's fully
construction.
funding.
The building construction.
Yeah, when they're ready to put it out, flip the switch.
We've already put it out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're collecting now.
Right, but I'm saying when you get ready to
Correct.
say we need. we've
Our
got
goal
all
is
the-
after the June 9th meeting, we're ready.
Show me the money.
That's right.
So I have a motion and a second on the amendment. Well, we already got that.
Call question, you second.
Called,
Just.
it was Jim. We've called the que- I did.
I think it needs.
However you write it down, it's just fine.
He'll send me that and I'll.
The amendment should be clarified to make sure because I don't want this to become a.
So the amendment right now is a motion to make the funding available contingent upon the project becoming fully funded.
Please.
So what we were asking was fully funded really should be just the building, not the full 150, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
The building itself.
So that's what I wanted to clarify.
Then let's go back so that we're clear for the record. Motion to make the funding contingent upon the project being fully funded, to change that to the building becoming fully funded. And we'll just leave it at that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
everybody
'cause
understands?
some of the 150 are things that we could function
without.
You know, like,
Yeah, we're good with that.
Okay.
If there's no other discussion, I think the question was called. All those in favor of the amendment as made, please signify by raising your hand. And the amendment passes. Then moving on to the resolution as amended. Is there any other discussion on it? If there's no other discussion, all those in favor of authorizing the resolution as amended, please signify by raising your right hand. Resolution passes unanimously.
We appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So as the tail of this, I'd like on the next agenda to place a resolution to contribute $2,500 to Sharon's effort for the track. Because it's not, we can't do it tonight because it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, I'm all for that. You know, I want this facility to be something that Vienna can be proud of as well. I mean, I know it belongs with you in schools, but I want the city to be proud of it. So, yeah, I'm all for that.
Let Sharon know.
Huh?
We'll vote on that next council.
I'll vote on it. Thank you.
You could.
She didn't have to show up either.
Let's talk about that later. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. It's 8:30. All right. Moving on to the third item under new business is a resolution establishing the increases of full-time permanent employees' salary, increases for non-seasonal employees, and to increase the starting wages for all new full-time employees.
Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that all full-time permanent employees and all non-seasonal part-time employees, as well as the starting rate for permanent full-time employees, shall receive a wage increase for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027 as follows. All current full-time permanent employees shall receive a 3% pay increase in addition to the annual hourly longevity pay increase of 35 cents per hour. All current non-seasonal part-time employees shall receive an hourly wage increase of 3%. All new higher full-time employee positions shall receive a starting pay increase of 3%.
Do I have a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
Second.
Motion second, third, fourth, and fifth. Is there any discussion?
This all already been budgeted, right?
Yeah, all of this is budgeted.
For the
This is
discussion
just,
for me.
this is just the resolution authorizing the pay increase for our employees. No other discussion? All those in favor of accepting the resolution as submitted, please signify by raising your right hand. I thank each and every one of you for your support of our Vienna employees. They are our greatest asset, and I appreciate them greatly. Moving on is a resolution acknowledging the soccer field development at Jackson Park and rededicating the fields to Vienna Recreation Youth Soccer.
Whereas Vienna Rec Youth Soccer has initiated the first phase of soccer field development at Jackson Park, and whereas fields 4, 5, and 6 are intended for continued use for youth soccer, including a regulation-sized field and multiple smaller fields, now therefore be it resolved, one, the council acknowledges the initiation of the first phase of soccer field development at Jackson Park. 2, fields 4, 5, and 6 shall continue to be dedicated to Vienna Rec Youth Soccer with the intent to accommodate a regulation-sized soccer field and multiple smaller soccer fields. 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption.
Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Motion and a second, open for discussion.
Thanks, Harry.
I would like to make an amendment to this.
Hold on.
Yeah. I know.
What do you got?
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment to this, that we designate, that the funds designated from the Bisler Foundation will go towards, all funds will go towards the development of a full-size soccer facility, something like that.
All funds donated by a Bisler Foundation. Is that an ink?
It's a pen and quill.
Okay.
I got you that.
Yeah. Then all funds donated by the Bisler Foundation, Inc., shall be appropriated and expended The amendment designates that all funds donated by the Ditzler Foundation, Inc. shall be appropriated and expended solely for the furtherance and completion of this project.
Are you good with that?
Well, we need to define the full-size soccer field as the Olympic size, which is 120 by 70, because I don't want somebody saying full size is one of these junior high soccer fields or, an Olympic size soccer field is what I was referring to when I gave the first 50,000. And I thought we didn't have that in writing, it was just an understanding, but before I give another 50,000, I want to make sure that we have it in writing, that we're talking about a real soccer field.
Jim, were you gonna say something?
Just we incorporated in this amendment that's floating around
All right.
right? You can just add that language, but the size, which is defined as 120 by 70.
Interior dimensions.
120 by 70.
Otherwise known as an Olympic-sized soccer field.
120 yards by 70 yards.
Is there a reason why 120 is first?
Oh my gosh.
Just curious. Normally the smaller.
The
Should
first
we
one I
convert
heard.
this to metric?
Hey, I was here. Okay, he said.
Does this measure in hectares, maybe? Where's Noah when you need it?
All right, so the amendment. Well, we found Russ's patience. All right. So the amendment that I've written says, designates that all funds donated by the Ditzler Foundation, Inc. shall be appropriated and expended solely for the furtherance and completion of a full-size soccer field, 120 yards by 70 yards, otherwise known as an Olympic-sized soccer field.
Close enough.
Can I ask a question, Gary? I know you're saying, that size, 120 by 170 yards for the field itself, but what about the extra land that you need for,
Sidelines.
seating, sidelines?
Right, we're talking 120 by 70, that's just the dimensions of the interior dimensions of the field. Obviously, it's gonna have to have, 5 or 10 yards on each side and on the ends.
So does all that take and incorporate all that you need as well?
We've walked that field and measured all of that off with the dimensions of that full-size field. We have plenty of space for seating, for sidelines,
Okay.
for
After we get rid of the concrete at the end and, all that other stuff.
the batting cage and.
Which is why I don't
Okay.
have money to get.
Hold on.
I second it.
Hold on. So the amendment that the mayor has proposed shall read, it designates that all funds donated by the Ditzler Foundation, Inc. shall be appropriated and expended solely for the furtherance and completion of a full-size soccer field with interior dimensions of 70 yards by 120 yards, otherwise known as an Olympic-sized soccer field.
With all associated apartments as appropriate. Just
Who's gonna write it? All right,
So that's the motion.
That's the motion. Do I have a first and a second?
First.
Oh, I made the motion. Oh, look, I'm hungry. I don't have no Snickers bars. I made the motion. You made the second. Any other discussion? All those, with no further discussion, all those in favor as approving the amendment as read, please signify by raising your hand. All right, having a motion and a second, no other amendments to this?
Harry, I was looking down, you voted, you didn't abstain or anything, you voted yes as well.
I'm donating the money, I can vote
That's
without
fine.
And for the record, he's already donated $50,000 and he is committed to donate, pending this resolution being passed, another $50,000.
After 8 o'clock, everyone's getting to be a smarty, right?
Yeah. Is there any other necessary discussion? None? All those in favor of approving the resolution as amended, please signify by raising your right hand. There you go. Oh, that's it. Moving on, do we have any reports, standing boards, annual committees? Nope. Remind everybody that next Friday, the seniors are having their senior annual picnic, those for 55 and older. That would like to attend. That will be at Spencer's Park from 11:30 to, is it 1:30? 11:30 to 1:30?
Usually until it's done.
Yeah, until there's no more food.
June 5th.
That's June 5th. I will be hosting another monthly brown bag luncheon June 4th from 11:30 to 12:30. That's bring your own lunch. We meet here on the council. And you can bring me your questions, concerns, complaints, whatever it may be, and we'll be here to discuss. Are there any other council comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Real brief. Just so tonight, my niece Madison Stahl graduated high school, and I just wanted to give her a shout out. Congratulations, Madison. She'll probably never watch this, but at least wanted to get that out there. That's it.
I'll have it in the
You can ask for a certified copy.
Okay, do I hear adjournment?
Any other, is there any other council comments or nothing else?
I just want to, I'll just say, I appreciate all the council, staying the course tonight. It was a difficult meeting to get through. Compromise was appropriate. The commitment was commendable.
And I second that. Thank you guys very, very much.